At the end of a long, hard World Rally Championship year, what would you expect the drivers to do? Jet off to some idyllic holiday island, perhaps? Well, you'd be right. And they've all come here to Gran Canaria, but not for a holiday. They've come here to drive flat out in the race of champions. It's been held every year since 1988, and for the last 4 years at this purpose-built track in the Canary Islands. All previous World Rally champions are invited, along with other top rally stars and a few local heroes for good measure. The competition is very serious and very fast as they drive top rally cars loaned by the works teams. The whole idea was that of one of the world's most successful female rally drivers ever.
You know, I am always concerned to try to make a track who is really interesting for them, because I know what is to go in special stage or things who are not really special stage, and I don't want to make any Mickey Mouse track or anything like that. So I think for sure they like the track, because if not, they will not come back, I'm sure.
Now, normally the occupant of this seat has his hands full of pace notes ready to call the corners, but not on the race of champions. I'm here as ballast, but it does actually give me a good chance to compare the different driving styles. But more to the point, what did the drivers think of my presence?
It is a quite good thing to have a co-driver beside us. I mean, then you have an impression as well what we are going to do, and you can commentate much better.
Oh yes, why not? You're welcome with me.
Oh dear, what have I done to deserve this?
No problem, Tori.
We'll make the balance good in the car then.
You're a brave man.
No, that's okay. I mean, what is your weight?
The problem is the weight.
If I was you, for sure, I will be very, very afraid.
My first client was 1988 and 89 world champion Mickey Biasion. There's a barrier between us, but not the bomb. Mickey here now, I can see his feet dancing around on the pedal. That's the end of the tarmac now, we're on gravel. He's holding his bridge into a left-hander, which is a nasty kick by the palm tree. If you put two wheels up there, you'll be over. Very close. Now we're back on tarmac on the outside of the track. Really impressive, this. No left foot braking here from Mickey. It's ordinary traditional driving, holding that slide perfectly. Now we're coming down to another kick, but the back end went right in the air there. And to the left. Now we're going through the water jump. And this is taking the air. Water inside the car. And now we go under the bridge. That's a dangerous part. And Mickey's getting the back ending, banging into the scenery all the time. That seems to be the way he drives. Now we're on the tarmac. The figure-of-8 track compensates for the disadvantage of starting on the outside, and so it's an even contest. Inevitably, there were a few surprises, and one of the first to go was rallying's first world champion, Bjorn Voldegaard from Sweden, knocked out by Belgian champion Freddy Loire. The current top 4 rally drivers are guaranteed a place in the next day's finals, but the rest of them have to fight it out. The escorts had come from the Belgian RAS team, and the Toyotas were from the Cologne headquarters of Toyota Team Europe. With the team's current suspension from World Championship events, there were plenty of cars to go round. Surprisingly, here Andrea Aghini beat Toyota Works driver Armin Schwartz. I transferred my affections from Biasion to my longtime friend Ari Vatanen. The wrong move, because Mickey Biasion won this Toyota race by a good margin. The two drivers had very different driving styles, Vatanen 2 full seconds slower despite his left foot braking. Veteran driver and 1984 world champion Stig Blomqvist has won the race of champions twice. Here he quickly dismissed Freddy Loire. It was home from home for Francois Delacour and Bruno Thierry. They were driving the escorts they've driven all season. It was nail-biting stuff for the spectators and for me, alongside Delacour, who, I'm pleased to say, won by a short head. So it was time to make final checks on the cars for the second day and the grand knockout. The drivers, Auriol, Aghini, Alonso, Biasion, Blomqvist, Delacour, Kankkunen and McRae. Newly crowned world champion Colin McRae was first into the blocks alongside Biasion. They drove both cars, and McRae emerged winner. There was deep concentration as Kankkunen and Delacour prepared for their first heat driving the Toyotas. Not surprisingly, Kankkunen was fastest. Juha Kankkunen is the most successful driver in world rallying, having competed in 103 rallies, winning 21 of them. Kankkunen has been world champion 4 times and it showed. He was remarkably smooth. He was faster in the Toyota, but on our first trip in the Escort, we hit a bank and the Finn scored a duck. So Delacour went on to take his place in the semi-final. Back in the Celikas, it was Oriol versus Blomqvist. Stig was brilliant, but Oriol was fastest by a second. When they changed to Fords, 49-year-old Blomqvist was quickest on his first run, so it was all down to the final heat. But Oriol had now come to grips with the Ford Cosworth. He put his foot down and went through to the semi-final. McRae's style was, in my humble opinion, quite the most flamboyant of all the drivers present. He lurched the car at most of the banks and drove with maximum attack the only way he knows. He dispatched a Guinea in both the Toyota and the Ford, and the new world champion was into the final, despite getting extremely close to the furniture on more than one occasion. Join me in my view from the front seat back in the Toyota. Now it was time for Delacour and Oriol to meet in the other semi-final. Oriol had won the event for the last 2 years, and amazingly, he was faster in the Ford and Delacour faster in the Toyota, the opposite to what everyone expected. However, it was Delacour who won the final heat after the closest race of the day. It was very exhilarating, I can tell you.
Well, this has been the most fantastic day of my life. I feel dizzy and exhausted. I've been round and round this track with all these different drivers. I was here to compare their styles. All I can say is they're all different, but marvellous.
All eyes were on the finalists, Colin McRae and Francois Delacour. First, off around the 1.5-mile circuit in the long-suffering Toyotas. Neither driver was familiar with the Celica, but McRae was in fine form and beat Delacour by half a second. In Heat 2, they swapped to the Escorts, but McRae missed the gear and Delacour was ahead. It was all to play for in the final tie decider. McRae had itchy feet and was determined to show the 30,000 spectators why he is world champion. He said he wasn't completely at home in the Escort, unlike Ford Works driver Delacour, who's driven it for 3 seasons. There was absolutely nothing in it. McRae on the left of your screen, and in-car with him on the fastest section of the track through the water splash. What we're seeing can be misleading. The cars are within a fraction of a second of each other here, but the inside track is slightly faster. And of course, both cars cover exactly the same route. Onto the tarmac, then the gravel. This time, Delacour's on the left and on the way to the high-flying water splash. Back with McRae. At the crossover point, it's Delacour over the bridge and it's McRae under it. Colin's really going for it. There's absolutely nothing in it. Now they're on the tarmac, the finish line's in sight, they're neck and neck. And Delacour wins it by just 300th of a second. Fantastic. Well, Delacour may have had a bad year on the rally circuit, but this is a well-deserved bonus for the popular Frenchman.